More now on our top story, Harry and Meghan's Netflix series. The couple have opened up on their decision to leave the monarchy and life in the public eye, what it had on Diana, with Prince Harry vowing not to let the same thing happen to his family.
Especially obviously the men, there can be a temptation or an urge to marry someone who would fit the mould, as opposed to somebody who you perhaps are destined to be with. The difference between making decisions with your head or your heart. And my mum certainly made most of her decisions, if not all of them, from her heart. And I am my mother's son.
Harry also criticised media coverage describing royal correspondents as the publicity arm of the royal family.
You're part of the royal rota. You have priority over the story over everybody else. It all comes down to control. It's like, this family is ours to exploit. Their trauma is our story and our narrative to control.
The Duke also said anyone can call themselves a royal expert and make money from commentating on the family. Well, joining us now is one very credible royal commentator, Victoria Arbiter. Vicky, there is so much to unpack here. I don't know where to start, but Harry and Meghan described their engagement, let's start with that one, as an orchestrated reality show. It kind of feels like, are they trying to reinvent history here?
Well, and of course there are already inconsistencies, because some of the royal rota or ex-royal rota pushed back on that comment today, saying that the journalist that was chosen to conduct their royal engagement interview was specifically chosen by Meghan, and they only said and talked about what they wanted to talk about. So, yes, there are inconsistencies, and of course there are so many sleuths online that are eagerly trying to pinpoint each and every one. But I thought it was rather charming to hear their love story from them. There were so many photographs, of course, that we've never been seen anything like that kind of private, behind-the-scenes look at royal life. And it was lovely to hear they met on Instagram, and Meghan had a doggy face superimposed on her face. That was the first image Harry saw. And they dressed at their engagement party in penguin onesies, because penguins mate for life. It was a secret engagement party. So there were elements of that that were quite lovely and charming. At the same time, there were a number of pointed digs towards members of the family. It's interesting, you chose one of the clips there that really stood out for me, when Harry said that he is his mother's son. King Charles was, in my view, largely airbrushed out of Harry's life, but also this suggestion that he married for love, unlike a lot of other members of the royal family who marry someone that fits the mould. And I suspect William and Kate would certainly beg to differ on that point.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that in a second, and whether that was a direct dig at William. Let me get your thoughts on this. And the thing that blew me away was Harry's seeming awakening to the whole press following them and the security issues. And he's been living this life his whole life. What were your thoughts on how he describes journalists and those that follow the royal family around?
I think it's no secret that Harry has had quite a traumatic view of the press, and he's been very critical of the press his whole life. And actually, when I was looking at the footage of him on the ski slope when they were away on holiday, and he and William and Beatrice and Eugenie had to do a photo call, and looking at those little children being faced with all these men with long lenses, you know, anyone who's got a child, when you get them to try and take the Christmas photo, that's an ordeal. When you've got 4 royal children that are faced with press like that, you can see why there would be an element of trauma. And then, of course, how his mother died. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt. She was in a car driven at high speed by a drunk driver while being chased by photographers. So I get it. But I think Harry really, in particular, perhaps any other member of the family, really struggles with this constant war with the press. He's known to read all of it, whereas other members of the royal family choose not to.
And there's no end to it. I mean, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Let's touch on that, that slight dig at William and Kate and choosing a partner and fitting the mould and all of that. Is this thing able to mend itself? Will Harry be able to cross the bridges with the royal family, with his brother, with his dad?
You would certainly hope so, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. You know, this was, it wasn't dramatic. There were no major bombshells, but in terms of hitting the nuclear button with his family, I think he's done that.
Yeah, Vicky, thanks so much for joining us. There's more on this. We'll chat with you very soon.